Hi, welcome to another episode of Webcam Sessions. This week we're going to talk about the three things that make up a song, and what those three things are: melody, harmony, and rhythm. And we're going to talk about how it applies to the ukulele and what sort of things we want to be aware of when we're playing songs so that we can make our songs sound much fuller and make it sound, well, more like the song. All too often I'll get new students that come in a private lesson and say, hey, I've been working on this song and I'm playing the chords like it says on the sheet and it doesn't sound anything like the song. Why is that? And the reason for that is because oftentimes when we're just looking up chords and strumming and playing chords, we're not getting all of the different pieces of the music that make that song unique. And knowing what these three different pieces are, the melody, harmony, and rhythm, can kind of help us get there. So we're going to take a song as an example today. We're going to use Heart of Gold by Neil Young. It's funny because today's the first day I've worked with this song. It actually came up in a lesson earlier today. It worked so well I thought I had to do this for this webcam sessions, even though I had other songs planned. So anyways, if I just play Heart of Gold by looking at the chords, knowing that the chords go E minor for half a measure, C for half a measure, D for half a measure, and G for half a measure, it might sound something like this. And you'll notice this doesn't sound very good, right? If I just go, that doesn't really sound like Heart of Gold, does it, right? And the reason is because I'm not taking enough consideration into those three topics. So let's go ahead and break them down. So the first one is melody. So what's the melody of a song? Well, melody is the lead line of usually individual notes that's oftentimes sang. So in the case of Heart of Gold, the melody is pretty easy to define. It's when it's saying, I wanna live, I wanna give, I've been a miner for a heart of gold. That's going to be the melody of the song. And when you listen to it, I can play that melody on the uke and kind of say the words along with it. I wanna live, I wanna give, I've been a miner for a heart of gold. Now as I'm playing that, you'll notice I'm not using any chords, I'm playing just these individual notes, and the reason is I'm just playing the melody. Now just the melody on its own, pretty empty sound, right? It doesn't inspire a lot. It sounds nice because it's recognizable, but there's not a lot of depth to it. So when we have the melody being that lead line, the next concept we talk about is harmony. And harmony is basically everything else that takes place that's more musical in terms of pitch. The most common type of harmony that we actually see in songs are called chords. And all that chord is three or more notes stacked together. And it's really creating harmony in these different ways. So when I look at Heart of Gold and I play an E minor to a C, to a D, to a G, I'm actually playing the harmony that's supposed to go along with the melody. But you'll notice without that melody, it just doesn't sound as good, right? And the reason is because the melody gives it its identity, and the harmony gives it its context and texture and flavor that makes the song really great. So the problem people run into is combining these things, right? Myself, I don't sing for the sake of everyone else. And so if I'm trying to play both at the same time, I'm trying to essentially play the chords, the harmony, and the melody at the same time. And that's called a chord melody. And that's where it gets that name. Chord melody could really be called almost harmony melody, but that doesn't ring off the tongue, come off the tongue, ring a bell. So it doesn't sound as good as chord melody. But all that a chord melody is when you're playing the melody and the harmony together. And that might sound something like this. And what I'm doing in that case is I'm playing the chords that are listed, or the harmony, and the melody notes, which is the melody obviously, and starting to combine them. Now, whenever you're looking for a song and you're trying to get that sort of sound, it's important to look for the terms instrumental, which means just played as a solo ukulele piece, or chord melody, so that you know that the version of the song that you're playing is doing all of that at once. Now, there's another concept that we talked about there, which is rhythm. Right? So we had melody, we had harmony, and we have rhythm. And the rhythm is the groove to the song, right? And oftentimes with rhythms, songs can be really, really important with their rhythm, or they can be a little bit less so just because the rhythm might be a defining feature to the song. In the case of Heart of Gold, it's actually pretty cool because it's got this sort of right? That sound, that groove that I'm creating with lots of down strums is going to really illustrate the sound of that song. Whereas if I'm just playing sort of random strumming, I won't get that vibe. So knowing what the strum pattern is to a song can greatly help that, because it'll allow you to know what the rhythm or groove is. And to kind of combine these three concepts, you can think of the melody as whatever you're going to sing, the harmony as the chords you're going to play, and the rhythm to be the strum pattern that you're using to make it. And so if you're playing a song that has a very iconic melody and you're singing it very well, you can almost get away with using, you know, any sort of rhythm or any sort of chords, as long as they're the correct chords, because the melody is carrying it so much. But other songs, the rhythm and the chords or the harmony are much more important to the identity of the song. And sometimes that means the versions of the chords need to be played a certain way. My favorite example of this is the song Island in the Sun by Weezer, and you can actually check out a tutorial on that here on Ukulele Underground, and that sounds something like this. Now those chords are E minor to A minor to D to G. But if I played E minor to A minor to D to G in a different way, I played it like this, doesn't sound the same, does it? And the reason is because I'm using different voicings of the chords that don't illustrate that harmony that I'm wanting by having variations on them. Along with that, the rhythm that I just played there wasn't the rhythm of the song. It wasn't this pattern of... Without that strum pattern, the rhythm just doesn't sound quite the same. For more information on that song, be sure to check out the video below where you can see where I learned it from many years ago. But that's what creates that sound. And in that case, the melody is still very important to the song, but the harmony and the rhythm are really critical to creating the sound of that particular song. So whenever you're working on a song, what you want to think about is what's the melody, what's the harmony, and what's the rhythm, so that you can figure out which parts you want to lay more importance on to make your arrangement sound better. Now the stressful thing is here knowing what to do, right? Because it's one thing to look up chords online and say it doesn't sound good. It's a whole nother thing to figure out how to make it sound good. And so what I always recommend is that you listen to the song a lot. You try to even find sheet music for it if you're able to read music, and look at it to see what's going on. And if that's something you're not comfortable with, see if another ukulele teacher has done a tutorial on that song that you can check out to hopefully get more of that sound. I actually do a lot of tutorial videos over on my YouTube channel. I've got about 20 song tutorials up right now at the time of this video, and I highly suggest you check them out if you haven't already, so that you can see a lot of different chord melodies, instrumentals that I teach that show these different rhythms and melodies and harmonies all working together to create that sort of sound. Unfortunately, Webcam Sessions is going to be moving to my channel, and so if you want to continue to watch these and you know, keep up with these different sessions, please please subscribe to my channel. It'll all be linked down below. In our next lesson, we're going to have a Christmas special like we've done the last couple years. We're going to be working on Christmas Time Is Here, the awesome Vince Guaraldi trio, my favorite Christmas song actually. And so look for that coming up here soon. And as always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And if you want to check out more of my videos, again, my YouTube channel will be linked in the description below as well. Hope you guys have had a wonderful holiday weekend with Thanksgiving over here in the States, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.